today, and I wanted to just invite you to the pregame. And the pregame is where we're focused on monetization plans, all things money, because everything money touches the things that we love. Like money touches your healthcare, it touches growing a business, it touches hiring people so you don't do it alone. And so you guys who are VIP, you get access to ask me the questions, right? So you guys, I'm going to bring you guys up so you can ask the questions for me. Now, here's what I want to share with you. It's absolutely the time in the challenge where typically people start to lose momentum. And it's a great visual, right? It's a great visual. This group is stuck pretty well, but there's a great visual for what happens when we're looking at our pattern. So I used to always have a 3-day pattern. Every 3 days I'd miss my workout. I would, I'd break my word. And I'd fall off my momentum. When I discovered I had a 3-day pattern, I was able to go, okay, let's see if I can make that 5 days. Let's see if I can make that 2 weeks. And I started to grow my bandwidth. Hear what I'm saying? So I'm just going to encourage you, because I don't know, it's kind of like you go to the bathroom right when the education is there that you need. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like there's like massive spiritual warfare against us really getting our breakthroughs. And so, hold it today. Stay in the room, hold it today. Don't back down. Okay, just really don't let anything get in the way, because that would be a perfect breakdown to your breakthrough. Okay, you guys. So, Kathy, do you want to jump up? You want to jump up? Yeah. Yes or no? Wave yes or no. Okay, let's jump you up, Kathy.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
I am en fuego. I'm terrified. I feel like I'm going to vomit every 32 seconds, so I know I'm in the right place.
Fantastic.
One of the things that's been present for me in the last couple of days is that I've made some of the same declarations over the last 6 months, but then it's like, oh, look, shiny thing over there, and then I don't get that declaration done. And so this time I am committed to bringing in these clients, to they're already here, manifesting these 5 clients paying clients by the end of this month. And I've got my list and I'm messaging my list, and I feel like I keep getting stuck in some of the mechanics around, how frequently do I message them if I'm not getting
Let me help
response?
you with that. Who
Yeah.
else has got that issue? Go in the chat right now. Who else feels pushy when you go and try and help someone? Right? Like, who feels that? Whether it's personal or business, right? So it's like, Jeanette, like, if I know that you can create a result in your life and I don't like constantly bring it up to you, then what happens is Jeanette starts to go off and gets in her habits and gets in her blind spots. You hear what I'm saying? So remember this. Actually, I'll share this with you. I noticed, I don't know, a few months ago that Revolve, does anybody know revolve.com? You should, if you don't know it, ignore what I just said, because it will steal all your money. So it's like the best clothing ever. And so when I go to revolve.com, if I look at my emails, they email me all day and all night. Like 3 times a day, 3 times a night. And don't get me wrong, there's some people who hate that. It's a very small amount. And honestly, the people who hate that, I gotta say, and I mean this with love, get a life. Because you must be really buried in your emails, like reading everything, and you need to get a life so that you're in life, not in your emails as much. Do you see what I'm saying? Because it's like you got what's on your email list and what's in front of you is what people pay attention to, because you scroll, delete, good subject line, let me open that. Delete, good subject line, let me open that. And then you're off doing life, hopefully, right? And so Revolve sends me 3 or 4 emails during the day, 3 or 4 emails during the night. Now, the night ones I don't ever see because they're so buried down. The only reason why I know this is I went in my inbox and I deleted everything in between the Revolve emails and saw how many they were emailing. Then I noticed, oh my gosh, Grant Cardone emails me a lot. And then I did the same thing with Grant. I was like, dude's emailing me all day and all night. Then I went and did Frank Kern, who they're friends. So, your network is your net worth, because your friends give you small little tweaks. Like, for instance, if you're emailing and you use a 17 font size, you guys who was on Dan's training with me last week? Yes or no? Dan Fleischman. Who was on Dan? So it was in the 100M mastermind. I spent $100,000 to go to 3 masterminds, no coaching. Just sit, right? A bunch of you guys got the bonus from those masterminds. So I paid $100,000 for the same freaking stuff that you guys got as a bonus. Like, no shit, that's exactly the truth, right? And by the way, I'm not mad about it. I'd pay the $100,000. I'm not gonna go Dan and ask him to give me my $100,000 back because he offered it as a bonus here. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's amazing how people think they're entitled to things versus if you take the stuff that you're getting and do something with it, you will never ask for a refund again. You will never be like, how come you got a coupon for the milk and I didn't get a coupon for the milk? It's like, get on with it, right? And so Dan taught, it was somebody in the mastermind taught, if you raise the font to 17 size, that the same emails, I can't remember the number, but it produces a significant amount more. Like, so what we did in the mastermind, because we're all, nobody needs extra, how do you do it? Because we just go take action, because imperfect action moves the dial, and we're not afraid of being judged. And so we all took emails that we had sent out, and we resent them out with just nothing changed, just increased the font. And we all came back after lunch and shared the reports. And the sales were insane, especially for the people who have really great leadership and they sell. Like, many of them sell. Like, Dan's partner, Joel, sends three emails during the day, 2 at night, and he sells on 100% of them. Wow. And nobody's bitching saying, oh my gosh, you only send emails to sell to me. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Then there's this whole other crew that's like, what if I upset somebody? Upset them. Just upset them. Trust me, they were already judging you and bitching and complaining about you before you ever sent an email. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Am I faith-based friends with love? I'm a Christian, and I will tell you, some of us are the worst, right? I had a woman say the meanest things to me the other day when I was being so kind to her, and she was saying the meanest things, and I see on her page, I'm a believer. I'm like, would you just take that off? Because it's just such a bad rap to talk the way you talk. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, this is our character. You guys see what I'm saying? So, Kathy, when you just heard me say that, what are you going to do moving forward?
Well, I'll be here on the challenge for the next little bit, so I won't do it right this second, but I know what my morning is. I'm going to fire up some emails, get them scheduled for the day. Since I've got systems in place to do that, I'm going to bump up that font size, which is a brilliant idea. And, oh, what the fuck? I'm going for it.
So good. Okay. So I'm going to challenge you to send 2 or 3 emails at night. So I have a better open rate at midnight and 3 o'clock in the morning than I do during my own time zone.
Huh.
Right. And so again, I wouldn't have known that unless I just like noticed it on Revolve and Grant and Frank and just tried it. And so my first email, I felt, and my copywriter did the same thing when she came on, I felt like saying, hey, like, I'm up late. Or I felt like explaining myself at midnight because like, Katie's gonna be like, why is she emailing me at midnight in California time? It's like, trust me, they are not that clicked into us. As much as we would like to believe our world is like, people are not paying attention to what you're doing. So send at night, send during the day, and just think, I just want to stay on the top of the inbox. Make offers all the time. Make them all the time. When you make an offer, it is, yes, you get the result of that, but it is so important to be able to give to people. And like, how many of you guys, like, I don't know, if I had a teen training for leadership, how many of you guys would want that teen training? Put teen in the chat. If I had a teen training for leadership, how many of you guys would want teen? Put teen in the chat, right? Look at the chat, right? Look at the chat, 110%, 1000%, teen, right? It's like, yes. You know, so when you have something, you got to go out there, make the offer because people want to buy. Mm-hmm. Got it? So don't hold back. Got it?
Unleashing today.
So good. Okay, pull her off. Okay, we got 4 minutes left. So let me share something with you. How many of you guys, like, literally, I'm getting messages online constantly. Who listened to my pocket coaching this morning? Email or text? Who listened to the pocket coaching? Put me in the chat. Who listened to the pocket coaching this morning? Okay, so you know what I'm about to say. I am getting messages from people, and I have now gone into my entire team and said, pay attention to this. You know, we cannot commit to things conditionally, right? So one woman said, if I could work, I intended to work on my business, but my roommate, didn't go on vacation, so I couldn't work on my business. I'm like, put on earphones. Put on earphones. Like, put on earphones and work on your business. It's not your roommate's fault that you couldn't work on your business in the last 2 months. I said to somebody on our team, I said, you need to be working on, I told him, he's enrolled in leadership, and I'm staring at him, and he hasn't done it yet. And he's enrolled, and he didn't do it because we had a live last month, and he came and showed up to the live. I said, what are you doing? I was like, hire somebody else to do the live. I'm like, because now I'm moving to Puerto Rico, and you're not going to be in my living room multiple times a month. And I'm like, when you go through leadership, I said, make sure, and this isn't about leadership, it's just about yourself as this runway, right? I said, you should go in, create $50,000 in 90 days where you couldn't do any of the work. That should be your stretch. How do you create income where you don't do the work? To be responsible for your friends, your family, and your business, you've got to create some additional income outside of you. Right. And I share this because I'm getting all these messages, and I'm sitting here going, guys, I'm clear that people are like, just give me the plan and I'll create the result. But no, you won't. And here's why. Because so many people are conditional. I will put in all in if I've got the money. I will go all in if my roommate takes a vacation, right? And I have the space. I will love my husband or my wife if they're kind to me. And let's be honest, there's been times in your life that you have not been kind. And somebody still loved you. They still loved you. Thankfully, and hopefully they loved you with grace and dignity. And so I'm sharing this with you because I'm sitting there going, where are we saying, oh my gosh, this person, I don't have a voice with this person, so I'm going to walk away from them. It's like, no, you are responsible for your voice. You are responsible for your message. You are responsible for grabbing a hold of your life and leading the charge. And until you do that, you have to realize that you're operating in a conditional, I'm calling it a COVID coma. You know when you get out of a coma, or hopefully you've never been in a coma, it's like you're disorientated. And you're like, oh my God, taxes went up, inflation went up. I feel like I just walked out of COVID and the whole world has changed. By the way, I'm not just seeing it in you. I have thousands of clients, and I have a 1% crowd that I work with their businesses. They make millions of dollars. Many of them do it in a month, right? And so I just helped one girl go from 300,000 to $1 million in a month in 30 days. And she's consistently clocking that. 300 to $1 million a month. That's a big jump, right? That's a big jump. That's like somebody going from $20,000 a year to $1 million in a year. It's a big jump, but it's 100% possible. It's 100% possible. That's not an income claim, but it's 100% possible if you get out of your own way and stop being conditional. So I want to ask you right now, who needs to talk to a business advisor? Put a B in the chat. Because I'm going to tell you something, entrepreneurs. You're not going to get the support that you want unless you can lead like this. You got to get more than just the business strategy. You got to get the business strategy, but you need to have deadlines. You need to be connected with the cost if you don't take action on this. You need to be connected to all of that so that you go all in. You cannot be conditional. You cannot be conditional, right? My friend Pete Vargas, who's going to come on, he couldn't be conditional when COVID hit. He had to go all in. I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to have you guys drop the business links. It's our Coach's Corner. They are there for you to be able to go and get coaching. I recommend that you tell them right off the bat, if I don't do this, here's what's going to happen. Right? Set them up so that they know your biggest fear. They know really what's going to happen in your life. It just cuts the conversation to the chase. It also puts the coach in a position on their heels where they're like, okay, I got to show up for this person right now so that they create this result. You hear what I'm saying? Manage the coach to get your best plan, your best steps, whatever. And do not say, so in my 1% club, you are not allowed to come and work with me if you have a someday plan. Do you know what a someday plan is? Someday I'll write a book. Someday I'll build a fund to fund entrepreneurs. Someday I'll have a child. Someday I'll get married after I figure out this business stuff. Someday doesn't, I won't coach you in my private 1% club if you're a someday. And the reason why is you've got the brakes on your life. And I want you to stop hitting snooze. I'll end on this before I bring Pete Vargas up. If you need that link, take that link, book a call, and there are actual strategist coaches to be able to walk through this with you. Do not go through this week spinning. Okay, do not go through this week spinning. We got Dean Graziosi coming. We got, talk about someone who turns bad times into good times multiple times in his life. Divorce, breakdowns in business, pandemics, living in a bathroom with his father. You know what I mean? Like, you hear what I'm saying? Like, we've got Steve Howard coming. How do you keep more money in your bank account? How do you do that? We've got some good people. Like, this whole week is fire. It's fire. But if you're just kind of listening to them without a plan, then you're going to be bobbed and weaved around. Do you get what I'm saying? You got to be responsible. What is my unconditional plan that I'm going to create? So use that hcbcoach.com link and book a coaching session. We always book out of them. So I'm sorry, there is what there is. And then there just is what there is, because I don't have any more staff. Okay, so grab that. Now hear me here. My son last night, because one of our challenges for the next 21 days, we're a weekend, was that my son and I work out 20 minutes a day. And I had a human moment last night. I knew in my head, we got our tracking up on the walls, and I knew in my head I was so tired, and I crawled into bed, and I knew we hadn't done our 20-minute workout. And my son comes rolling into my bedroom with his iPad under his hand and the charger. He says, "All right, Mom, I'm going to do my workout." And I was like, "It's so late, Zach." And he goes, "Yeah, but I promised myself." And just him saying that, I promised myself, I was just like, okay, I'll be right there next to you. And I got out of bed and I worked out with him. True story, last night I worked out with him and we did our workout, and he didn't want a kid workout. He wanted a man with muscles workout. And so we did a 20-minute ab workout that burnt the heck out of my abs. And my little son never gave up. And he just kept saying to me, "I made an agreement with myself." And he kept saying that in the 20 minutes. Not only did I have a proud mommy moment, but this morning I said to him, "Zach, thank you for keeping me on track." So how many people in your life have you helped win? Right? How many people in your life have you helped win? I've helped my son win time and time and time again. And he showed up and helped me win and keep my word to you. See, willpower is completely inconsistent. It doesn't matter how much of a boss you are, a baller you are, how driven you are. Motivation is emotional. And when you have a bad night's sleep, or you're tired, or let's be honest, for some of us, if somebody makes you mad, or you have a breakdown with somebody you love, you kind of throw the commitment out the window and you're like, I needed it to look like this, which is very conditional on your commitments. Do you see it? Can you guys see it? The COVID coma is real. And we need each other, and we need to build people around us that are great leaders, that we help them get what they want, because guess what? That's when people are there for us. You see, it's not that people don't want to support people. It's that we haven't poured into them enough to be able to pay attention to us in the same way. People treat us the way we treat them. And so it's time for a different world. Am I a yes? Am I a yes on that? It's time for a different world, which means it starts 100% with us. And that is not a motivational talk. That is leadership, my friends. All right, I'm going to call my friend Pete Vargas to the screen with me. Can you pull up Pete Vargas? You can take off the HCB coach. Pete, is he here?
I am.
There he is.
What's up?
Hi, my friend.
How are you? How are you?
So good. I miss you.
I miss you too. I love being with you in Utah a couple of weeks ago. So
Yes. Yes, well, yeah, you and Randy were the two reasons from Friends, pouring into Friends, that Ash and I got on a plane and went to spend time with both of you guys. And obviously, it was actually a great meeting. And I just thank you for putting it on and being a great leader in the world.
Yeah.
Pete, I know that you got some things you want to share today, but I wanted to start with a real moment. And, when COVID hit, like you pretty much, your business was like grounded, right? You were all events, speaking events, and you had an opportunity to shift or curl up in the middle of the living room floor and just cry it out, and just let everything implode around you, which there's people doing that right now. They're in the middle of the living room floor and they're just like, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know what to do. And it's in that moment that you can rise up and innovate your best, your best life is in those moments. It's like, don't waste the hard,
Yeah.
right? And who would have known that you would have been in a situation a year later where you're having to pull out of your business so that you can focus on your kids and give your wife space to go be with her mother, right? And I was saying to Ash, I was like, and then he went and created a movie of his mother-in-law. And you just keep showing up time and time again as someone who leads through their heart. And I know you're super faith-based as well. And I've watched you as your close friend before you were Pete Vargas, meaning that before anybody knew who you are, and now where everybody knows who you are. If you don't know Pete Vargas, if you're just new to him right now, put a question mark. If you're just meeting him for the first time, put a question mark so that we can see him. And that's super powerful because it's always nice for new people to be meeting each other. And so I would love you to just talk about that, because it's in that hard moment that I've been saying this a lot lately. It's like it's really hard to develop anything great without a hard moment. There's nothing that actually gets innovated. Like you're like everybody else until you have a hard moment that you create something, and that's when the hero story gets created. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you're staying on that track, I'll go down that track. We have, I think a lot of people have hard moments, and sometimes it's months, years, and even decades, and some people's lifetime goes by before they even get to the point of understanding that this hard moment, that God brings everything together for the glory of his kingdom. And I'm not saying he creates those hard moments, but those hard moments give us an opportunity to be stronger and to do something with it, like to actually do something with it and in it for other people. Like that's what begins to happen. And unfortunately, a lot of times in our life, we don't realize that until years and decades, but it's when can you begin to get gratitude in the moment? Like, how can you be grateful in the moment of a hardship? That's when things begin to shift. And that's not easy. I'm not saying that's easy. And I'm not saying that you don't grieve, because grieving is a part of the process. But I think about my wife upstairs, Kim. You know this story, but your crowd doesn't know it. 14 years ago, we adopted a baby girl. We named her. We brought her home. We brought all the people from our church to come pray over her and celebrate her. And the birth mom said, I want to break the generational curse of my kids not having two parents. And so, and you can equate this to anything. Your business partner tells you you are the greatest and I cannot wait to get behind you. So we hear that and we're like, yes, we want to adopt this baby girl. And then we bring her home. And in the moments of celebrating her and our friends praying over her, we get the phone call that says, hey, it's the adoption agency and the birth mom has had second doubts and she wants her baby back. And in Colorado, you have 7 days and we're now on day 3 or day 4. And I literally just fall to the floor and I just begin to cry and weep. Kim's in the other room. My friends are in the other room. I begin to cry and weep. And I'm just broken. Like I'm broken. And my friends come, and community is so important, guys. It's so important. Like it's so critical to be in community. And Shanda, like I'm part of Shanda's community, like in our friendship. But my friends just come and they lay hands over me. But Shanda, I want to juxtaposition 2 feelings that were occurring. Number one, we held Emma all night long. We held her all night long. We named her Emma. And we held her all night long and we cried because she was ours. Like having her for 3 days, she was ours. And the next day for me was where I learned what we're talking about right here. I'm there. My wife's in the middle. I'm on this side. My mother-in-law's on this side. And I look at Monique, and guys, we have this all the time where we think something's supposed to happen and it doesn't happen the way we want to. And sometimes a person lets us down on the other end. A lot of the times we let ourselves down because we don't honor our agreements with we don't keep our own agreements with ourselves. But a lot of the times we like to blame other people. We don't like to blame ourselves often. So I'll live in the domain of blaming other people. So I'm blaming Monique. And I'm blaming her, and I shouldn't have said her name, but I'm blaming her. I'm like, you told me you wanted two parents. You told me this. That's why we said yes, like you lied to us. And then my mother-in-law does the same thing. Like, this is like, they're going to give your baby a life that she could never have. And in the moment, we're not empathizing with the biggest, how hard that would be for a birth mom to do. Like, that's not in my psyche, right? And so then we both hit my wife. We both like, what do you have to say, Kim? Like, lay into her. And Kim says the words that will forever change my life. She says, thank you for the last 3 days. And I'm like, are you kidding me? In that moment, by the way, it was the moment where I was about to give up on the adoption process too, because this wasn't our first experience. It was our second of losing a kid. The first one, gratefully, we didn't have to hold them or meet them. So it was a different scenario. But this one we had just held, we had met, we had brought it our home. Our friends were praying a blessing over her. Everything was going according to the plan that we saw in our minds. And then all of a sudden something happens and takes it out. And I was about to give up on that plan, for the record. And a lot of us give up on our plan in the moments that nobody wants to talk about, which are the South moments, because all you hear on social media is the North moments. You hear the North moments, but you don't hear the South moments. And in the South moments is when your plan is given up on, unless you make a decision ahead of time that in the South moments, you're committed to that plan. And you see the difference between Kim and I is she made a plan. She made a plan to be grateful for 3 days. See, I couldn't see the 3 days. She saw the 3 days. I couldn't see the 3 days. And so in that moment, Shanda, she was grateful. And literally this peace came over that room. Like, I cannot explain it except it's supernatural. The peace of God came over this room. And I knew this. I knew I wasn't giving up on that plan. And I'm glad I didn't, because you know the story. We have 4 kids, 3 amazing kids that we adopted. Our third one that we thought would be our final one, when we met her, and she was a miracle baby, pound to 3 ounces, was told she wouldn't be a year to live. When we went to meet her, we found out her name was Emma. And so God returned something in our lives that we had lost in our third baby. And then we had a 4th miracle baby, Shiloh, where we were told we'd never have kids. And so to now see that, what if I would have given up on that plan? Like, what if I would have like given up and I would have said, Kim, I'm done. I'm done. Like, now we're talking Keaton and Mia and Emma. And I would even dare to say, because of the resentment and the hurt and the pain and the anger, that who knows if we would have been given the gift of Shiloh. Like, I don't know. And I'm not here to say one way or the other, but what would have happened in that moment if I had given up in the plan? And so all I can tell you is that through the process of COVID, when crap hit the fan once again, I was weeping on my couch right here. I was crying. The very first thing I did is I called friends and I called mentors after I was crying, just like I was crying with Emma. I was crying there. And I was reminded, this is an opportunity to continue to pursue something. It might just look different. And by the way, I needed mentors too. I needed people I could pick up the phone and call, friends like Shanda and other people that I could call. And in that moment, we just recreated something as well. We recreated something as well and set a trend in the industry at that time, Shanda. And then
100%. And you know, when COVID hit, there was an opportunity, y'all, and the opportunity where people were paying attention. They're sitting at home on Zoom calls, right? And so what he didn't miss was the opportunity to create massive impact. He could have missed that if he licked his wounds for too long. Do you know what I mean? It's like, how long do you want to be in therapy, or do you want to move through it? Do you know what I mean? And so there's a power to therapy. There's a power to trauma work. There's a power to all of that, but you got to move. right? You gotta take it, you gotta take the coaching, you gotta do something with it. And so, Pete, for people who want to impact millions of people, I'm going to put the stage back on you for like 10 minutes. The point that people want to impact people, what advice would you give them? Because you've helped a lot of people at this point. Go out there. And by the way, you don't have to be a speaker, but if you are, great. You don't have to be like a wildly successful person, but if you are, great. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'll tell you this, you don't want to be somebody that's not taking responsibility for leading millions of people. At least try, right? At least go out there with the intention to change the world on a big scale. And the reason why I say that is because the bigger my goals have gotten, the bigger my dreams have gotten, the less grounded I get in any sort of self-doubt, because there's just no time for me. You know what I mean? Like there's just no time for me, and I don't know how to explain it any other way than that. So I know logically set smaller goals, but I'm telling you, don't. Set big goals that you feel like if you don't move today, then you're going to miss that. Like that's the secret. If I don't move today, I'm going to miss that opportunity because there's a timeline on it. Do you see what I'm saying? And so Pete helps lots of people reach millions of people, reach hundreds of people, reach 50 people, and not only monetize that, but make a huge difference. So if you could put the screen back on, Pete, and I'm going to let him roll.
Yeah, that's great. So, hey guys, I want to give you one nugget today, if that's okay with you. And I want to bring this full circle. Like Shanda said, it's not that I wasn't grieving the loss of Emma. I just made a decision to step back into the pool of adoption and grieve while I was in the pool. And it's not that I wasn't grieving the $5 million we lost during COVID. It's that I just decided to step in to the pool and still grieve. Like, by the way, that's not a small thing. And in the process of grieving, be grateful. Like my wife saw the 3 days. I didn't see the 3 days. I didn't see the 3 days. Do you know what that meant to me to really think about, wow, I got 3 days with this baby. I got to pray over her more maybe than she might ever be prayed over in her life. Maybe I was just supposed to be in her life for 3 days so I could lay hands on her, pray over her, and bless her life. Maybe that's what God intended, and it hurts. But to be able to step into the moment, and I'm going to tell you one more to close today, because this is a trend for my wife and I to lean into things like that. But before I do that, I want to give you one nugget that will help you get your message out to the world on a bigger scale. And if you know me, I'm very passionate about this. I'm really passionate about this. I'm going to try to do this really quickly. So there's this idea, obviously, of stages. I get the chance to work with a lot of incredible people, but Grant Cardone is one of those. And he said, you cannot get your message out without a stage, period. You cannot get your message without a stage. I think it was Winston Churchill said the world is a stage. And one of the fastest ways to get your message out is stages. And so I just want you to fundamentally understand a couple of things today. Number one, what Shanda's hosting today is what I call an OWN. These 21 days are unbelievable. What she's doing for you guys, it's pretty crazy what she's doing for you guys. I'm like blown away. Like you should be here every flipping day. And I hope you invite somebody every day. And the other type of stage that we talk about all the time is what I call OPSs, other people's stages. Other people's stages. And so these are the two major categories. And if the world is a stage, and if the stage is how you're going to monetize and get your message out to the world, I want to lean into this one a little bit more today, because Shanda is incredible with this. You want to talk about somebody that knows how to build her own stages, like pay attention to her, follow her. But because I have a limited time, I'm going to stay in this domain right here. I'm going to stay in this domain a little bit. Now, here is a big misconception, and I wished I had the picture of this that you could wrap your brain around this, and I don't have the picture today for this, so I'm just going to have you imagine this. There is this concept, and I've taught this rarely. There is this concept of a road, like you build a road. Think about a road. Imagine a road in your brain. And here's the thing that's happening. You're being told this lie that a road is going to get your message out to the world. A road is going to allow you to monetize. What is a road? Let me give you an example of a road that I bought into as being what would monetize my brand. Somebody told me the podcast was a road. Somebody told me a funnel was a road. Or somebody told me a podcast would monetize for me. Somebody told me a funnel would monetize for me. Somebody told me phone calls would monetize for me. And yes, Shanda and I have all of those in our business, but they are roads. And I'm sorry, the field of dreams is not correct. If you build it, they do not come. They do not come. I'm sorry. Thanks, Kevin Costner. I love you. But it's not true in business. Roads don't build your business. Yes, I use funnels. Yes, I use phone calls. Yes, I have a podcast. But building all of that is simply building a road. A road without traffic is useless. It's useless. Your roads have to have traffic on them. And so there are short-term traffic strategies, and there are long game, short game and long game traffic strategies. Now, what's some examples of traffic strategies? Paid advertising. You could go do paid advertising, but I'm going to tell you the way the gurus make it sound, it's not that easy. It's really difficult. If I want to go get 1,000 leads in paid traffic, it's probably going to cost me $20,000. And that's not even my retainer that I'm paying the person to. So, I get that that's one of those traffic sources that a lot of people talk about, but it's not as easy. Producing content. Let's talk about producing content. Putting content out the world will get you organic. It will, but it's a long game strategy. Real talk, it's a long game strategy, and you better be pretty cutting because it is busy out there. It is busy out there. So content is like a long game strategy. And I'm not saying either one of those are good or bad. I'm not saying this is not good or bad. What I want to give to you is a gift that's really simple. It is this. In OPS, other person's stage, is both the road and the traffic built into one. It's the road and the traffic built into one. Now, let me tell a quick story, and this is a really important story because this will relate to Shanda and how she's built her own stages. So there's a guy by the name of Grant Cardone. Some of you have heard of him. He is his last 4 years. I'm going to tell you something. His last 4 years, his events cost him $20,000 or $20 million, $8 million, $8 million, and $6 million. So what does that equal? That's $42 million. Just the hard costs to produce the last 4 of his business events. So by the way, I love OWN. And I'm going to tell you something here if I can find my marker. And I'll come back to OWN here in just a second. So it cost him $42 million to produce those events. That's the hard direct cost. AV, taggers, celebrity, Facebook ads, all of the swag and all of the stuff you do, the $39 cups of coffee that everybody drinks, and then they leave it half full by the end of the day. And you see all these cups and you're like, oh my God, all of that stuff. But that doesn't, and he's like Shanda, that doesn't take into consideration the hundreds of millions of dollars that he's spent building his team, putting himself out into the world the last 2 decades. That's hundreds of millions of dollars on top of that to build his own stage. By the way, I'm not advocating for your own stage. I believe you should be building one of your own stages at a time. One, not 15, one. But here's the crazy thing that I just want to present. The only speaker to be on his stage, OPS, all 4 years, is this guy right here. I didn't have to pay a penny. Thousands of customers, now multiples of 8 figures in revenues, and countless impact from being on another person's stage. There is a key term that Shanda understands really well. OPS equals OPM. I hope you can see that. And if you don't know what OPM is, does anybody know what OPM means? OPM, drop it in the comments. Other people's money. Did I leverage the other $42 million that he spent in the hundreds of millions of dollars? Yes. The difference is if you buy real estate and you lend and you borrow somebody's money, you have to pay it back or you're not being ethical. I didn't have to pay any of the $42 million back. I hope you let that sink in for a second. I hope you let that sink in for a second. I did not have to pay the $42 million back at all because of the power of this. And I'm going to tell you why we let somebody let you in on an OPS. And I'm going to go 4 more minutes and we'll be done. And Shanda can ask me some questions, but like, I want you to understand the power of an OPS. It is the road and it is the traffic. And yes, I want you to do this. This takes time and it does take money. This doesn't take money and it takes a little bit of time. It's not either or, it's both. But the beauty is you can be on unlimited of these because you don't have to build them. You don't have to build the Facebook group, the challenge, the big event, the Instagram account. You don't have to build it. The only thing you have to do, here's why I've spent 10,000 hours on the phone with people who control stages. 10,000 hours, that makes me a pro. And here's the one thing people want to know. Whether it's Shanda or Grant or Brian Dice or Dean Graziosi, who have been on all of their stages, they want to know you're going to solve a problem for them and serve them and solve a problem for their people in their community. That is the number one thing they want to know. And when they know that, the opportunity for you to be on their stage exists, their OPS. So here's the last thing that I'll say about this. There are 2 major categories. I'm just gonna flip this really quick. And I'm going to close with the story that Shanda just talked about. There's 2 major categories. There's the digital world and there's the physical world. And Shanda, I can get you all of the stuff that explains the 13 different types of digital and physical stages, and you can do whatever you want with that. But this is what I want you to know. We've never been at a time in history where this matters more. Because here's the beauty. You can be on this is a challenge. I'm on a challenge. That's one of the stages. I'm on a webinar next week about an OPS. I'm going live on our buddy Craig Valentine's Instagram account. Like him and I are going live on the Instagram account. All of those are digital stages that other people have built that I can be on. My intention is to be on one a week. One a week. And here's what I want you to know. The gift with digital stages, I'm not saying COVID's a gift. The gift with digital stages that COVID has given to us is they have never been more accepted than right now in the history of our world. They weren't seen as a serious type of stage pre-COVID. They are now seen as a serious type of stage. My wife has chosen to build her business with just these. With just these. And then you got the physical stages, local stages, single conference rooms, breakouts, retreats, boot camps, all of these different types of physical stages. And I choose to be on one of these a month. One of these a month. And here's what I will tell you. The CEO of events.com in Shanda's backyard just said, 2023 and 2024 will be record-breaking years for OPSs because he didn't say this piece. I'm adding this piece because I got the download from God on this, because people are missing human connection and they want to be in a room together with folks. Record-breaking years. There might not be 2 years in the history of our earth, like ever, that are like these years with physical events. So why not create one of your own for sure, but why not go beyond other people's physical stages as well? So we've got this paradigm in the history where I want to encourage you to use OPSs as a vehicle to get your message out there. Not to be a speaker. You don't have to be a speaker. Kim Vargas is not a speaker. I want you to use it as a vehicle to get your message out there. And so this is the story I'll close with because Shanda mentioned it and I'm going to say it. My mother-in-law came out here last August, a year ago. And she had been given 2 months to live. The cancer had gone away, it came back. She'd been given 2 months to live. So in the midst of crisis, remember, this is a theme for us. A lot of people have missed this chance, Shanda. I've heard 10 stories that said I was going to do that and I never got to it. Why? Because they were in pain and they weren't operating and being committed to their plan. So my mother-in-law came out here. He's one of my heroes. And I said, Kim, why don't we go produce her story and have her tell us her story, the family she grew up in, the family she created, have her speak a blessing over everybody, give us her wisdom, her wins, her losses, her regrets, her failures, her successes, all of it. Let's hear her story. And so Kim did this whole preparation to get her mom ready for this interview, and we shot the interview. And it was one of the most powerful rooms I've ever been in. 13 years prior, when her mom gave her kidney, it was the most powerful room I had been in like a physical sense. But this was like a spiritual sense, so powerful. Well, her mom passed away in October. Unfortunately, and we were heartbroken, but we showed that video at Thanksgiving of last year. Was Kim grieving? Yes. But this goes with that common theme that how long do we not allow ourselves not to operate? How do we not be grateful for the gift that we had, which was this video to show? So we did it, and it was uncomfortable. And the family watched it, and they came up to us and said it was the greatest gift that they've ever gotten. And it was like so magical at that Thanksgiving, her grandkids, her kids, her husband, her siblings, like it was so beautiful, her living mom, her mom. And so Kim came to me in December and just said, Pete, you feel like you're supposed to share your story with the world. I feel like I'm supposed to capture people's legacy stories that they can have for their family. And so my wife, I'm so proud of her, Shanda. She's built, and she's going slow. She's going slow in the sense that she wants to perfect things and at the same time generate revenues. And so she's built a 6-figure business. She is not an entrepreneur. She is not a speaker. She is an introvert. She loves God, but she's like the opposite of me. But she's used OPSs, digital and local OPSs, just in Colorado Springs, to build it. And so Shanda, I want to honor the time and respect the time today, but that would be my nugget. Nugget number one is obviously OPSs are powerful, but on a deeper level, being grateful in those moments of hardship and asking yourself a question that most people don't ask themselves in a hardship. What can I do with this in this moment? It's a very difficult question to ask, but we're not going to change the answers if we don't change the questions. And so being grateful in those moments and asking yourself, what can we do different? Well, most people in a cancer diagnosis don't think about producing a video. And we were not producing a video for a business. I need people to understand that. That wasn't even in our minds at all. When that became in her mind was when she saw the way the family responded in November. But because we were faithful in that tough time, which is a reoccurring theme, I believe God has blessed us and really used us and wants to use every single person watching here today too.
So Pete, when you're saying that, you know, what you guys don't know is the backstory of Kim saying, I don't want to build a business. I remember Pete, like in the midst of growing Advanced Your Reach, she's like, come on, Kim, you're so good. Let's go. And she's like, I'm not like you. I don't want to do this. Like, I like being the mom. I like doing this. Like she was super adamant, and Pete saw something in his wife that he really wanted to cultivate. And she was like, right? And then look at how God works, right? So it's like, sometimes what people see in you that you don't see in yourself, you slow it down, but it's perfect timing when you step up to the plate and you decide to lead. But you see how everything is leadership? When she could see it and it had a value bigger than her own win, it compelled her to show up. And I really believe that when people are in the hustle, and it does take hustle, like I hate this whole thing out there right now, like cancel the hustle culture or whatever. I'm like, listen, I don't know anybody at high levels that didn't hustle, but I'm a real big advocate. Take off a week a month, take off the weekends. I'm not trying to get balance. In those times, I am 100% committed to being a mom, being a friend. Like when my friends are like, when do you have time? I'm like, I always have time after 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like, what are you not hearing about what I'm saying? Like, I'm always available after 4 o'clock. Call me, right? Like, I'm always available after 4 o'clock. And my family is like, you never answer the phone during the day. But after 4 o'clock or on weekends or the last week of the month, give me a call. Totally available, right? And so that structure. So I love that Kim is doing what she's doing, and I love that she's on the forefront, and I love that you had that vision for her. And when the hustle did shift on let's build this business for us into this huge meaning. And I remember that moment, Pete, like I remember you having a huge God moment with yourself. And Pete said, we won't say who, but like he noticed that he had judgment on people. Remember that, Pete? You were like, I have judgment on these people.
Yeah.
And instead of just going to God and the peace of his own home where he's safe, he started picking up the phone. And Pete, I swear to you, that was the moment. Like I've known you for a lot, like that was the moment where God just said, all right, my son, you're ready to lead. You know what I mean? You want to lead with that heart? I will put you right up here and you're ready to lead. And he started calling people that didn't know that he had judgment on them and just having a straightforward conversation with them. Some of you guys needed that message today. Some of you guys need to pick up the phone and you need to call the people that you've been harboring information, you've been harboring judgment, you've been right about them being wrong. And because of that, they're suffering from a connection and a closeness with you. And honestly, it's a way that you curse people, especially if they come into alignment with believing that about themselves. You hear what I'm saying? And so this is the stuff that we want to break, and it really does start with you. So I remember Pete picking up the phone and calling people, and I watched something break off him. I watched something spiritual break off him. And his level of self-worth and confidence and just love for people and his ability to just connect with people just went to a whole nother level. It went from trying to build something to trying to really change the world. And that shift became evident for everyone. And when that became evident, he became much more trustworthy. See what I'm saying? Like, because he was about you 100%. And now he's built this whole life about you. And that sets a runway that pulls people forward. And I love that you talked about the roads, Pete, because it's true. I can't tell you how many people, and I did it too. If I could just get on this road and create this result, create that program, product, or service, it's like, no, nobody's following unless inside behind closed doors, the temper tantrums stop. Do you know what I'm saying, y'all? Yes? Who needs to change some temper tantrums behind closed doors? Put a T. Out yourself. You know what I mean? Like, just out yourself. One of my husband's most quoted lines for me, and where I respect him at this high level, is when we're in a moment that we're not our best self, he'll look at me and say, I know we could lead through this differently. Like this doesn't have to be our story. So I'm going to walk away, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to find a way to get on your team. And it's like, I'm on his team at that point. Whatever decision he makes, I'm following, which is very biblical. I'm following, but he has to be the man that I can follow. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Now, some of you guys are following a man right now, and you're like, he's not that man. But are you that woman? Are you that person to evoke that out of that man? Do you hear what I'm saying? So it's so, like, you can't get away from this. What's happening inside your heart will show what's coming out of your mouth. And when you can heal your heart, what comes out of your mouth leads and moves mountains. So Pete, first of all, thanks for being on. And I thank you for being here. We're going to move over to VIP. You guys know that we closed the cart for the leadership program last night. And so the price did go up, only $200. So the price did go up, only $200. If you feel a call that you want to clean your heart, I'm going to recommend that you jump into HCL. No hard push, no anything. We closed the cart pretty hard last night. There's hundreds of you who jumped in. Congratulations, I have another give for you. We made a decision, I called Michael Strasner up and we made a decision to offer a teenager program. Everybody who already jumped in, you have it. I wasn't expecting so many people to jump in, so I have to add trainings now because you can't have an overabundance of teens. You need to be able to really work with them tightly. It can't be thousands of people or even hundreds of people in a room. And so for you guys who actually already jumped into HCL, I want to let you know that you're blessed with an additional $2,500 program for teenagers where Michael Strasner will be leading it. So if you don't have a teen, that's okay. Maybe you just need to sit down and think about where's a sister has a teenager, or a nephew has a teenager, or anybody in your life that has a teenager, and you'll be able to sponsor that. So Heartcore is going to pay for that trainer and for that training for all of your teenagers. So every person who jumped into HCL, you have one nomination to make a difference in the world for the next generation. I have had many phone calls during COVID with the cutting, which by the way is super demonic, the cutting and the suicides, and people who have done our leadership program and completed it have called me and said, would you please give us a teen training? And I kept saying, oh my gosh, like, I don't know how to put that together. There's so much already because COVID had hit. It was insane. And so it was through, if you were one of those people, it was through your words on Instagram, Facebook, messaging me, friends who have done this work that have really just stayed in my ear, that I had the idea during this challenge, you know what? I wonder if we could actually offer this. So it's not for sale, it's gifted. With this training, I have committed that Heartcore and everybody in the Heartcore company is sponsoring this for you. So if you do jump into HCL today, not only will you get HCL still for a massive discount, not only as Pete talked about traffic, right? I will show you how to get traffic without paid advertisement with the Heartcore leadership training. In Heartcore leadership, we're going to give you vision, which is 3 days. Then we're going to give you breakthrough, which is 4 days. And then we're going to give you practice, which is where you put up a very big, audacious goal. So if you want more money, that's where you put it in. If you want to find love, I mean, I'm not kidding you. I have 2 friends right now that both declared that during their practice section that they would find love. Now, here's what the deal. It can't be conditional. They set visions out there. One of them said, I'm going to go on 100 dates in 90 days. And she met our friend, which we did not connect them. That was 100% God, right? And they were both clear that they wanted a faith-based partner. They wanted Christian, right? One went back and told his family, by the way, this isn't about Christian Catholic. One went back and told his family for the first time, told his parents that he is not Catholic and he's Christian. And literally, I'm not even kidding you. He was telling me last night, the healing that happened between him and his father, because his father flipped out. And then his father started crying on his shoulder because he had the skills to not fight his father. He had the skills to completely lead his father. And he's still in practice. By the way, he leads a huge company, over $300 million company. And he created that. We got to get out of if it all lines up, I'll commit. Or if I had more money, I'll commit. Or do you see what I'm saying, my friends? Yes. So you'll do vision breakthrough practice. I will show you how to build traffic in a 3-day virtual event on July 12th, 13th, and 14th. That's my gift to you, because I think whether you're an entrepreneur or a new entrepreneur, or you should be a new entrepreneur, you need to be responsible for your money, especially over the next 2 years. You need to be in the realm of building your own stages, whatever that looks like for you. Pete, I'm going to have you and I go into this in the VIP section. more, but like what's going to happen with some stages coming up that you could set yourself up to build a stage and sell it, believe it or not, and get way ahead. Doesn't have to be a big stage. You can actually build a physical stage, which we have helped thousands of clients at this point do. And obviously Pete is a professional at this, right? But there's a window coming up. There's a runway, right? You guys who, like, people are like, Bitcoin's down, da, da, da. Yeah, but everybody who jumped in way long ago, they're living their best life right now. And it doesn't matter. They've already taken money, moved money around. Like, you want to get that window. When COVID hit and Pete was like middle of the living room floor, actually on his couch crying it out, and then decided to rise up, that opportunity's gone, right? Like that, all that viewership that just stuck to the screen, that's gone. Now there's a new runway happening, and it's with stages. And you don't even have to build a stage because you want to build a stage to sell a stage and get the multiple, because you will make more money off selling something than you'll ever off building it for your lifetime. It's got a higher multiple, and people don't realize it because they've taken themselves out of the game. Say, you know what, I could never do that. Yes, you could. You really could. I've seen people go from food stamps to literally $140,000 in a year to go off to be $500,000 the next year to become an actual published writer 3 years later. You see what I'm saying? So it's like just saying yes to yourself along the way. So in addition, we're going to add the teenager training, which is a two-day training virtually. And then what's going to happen is there's a follow-up over the next 3 weeks that they will be worked with over the next 3 weeks. So it's their version of practice to be able to implement something that they want. It's incredible to see teenagers come out of this program. You know who they become? They become the kid that's got such high self-worth that when there's someone that's operating out of their power, or somebody who's being just not the best version of themselves as a teenager, they're the ones that go over to them and ask them what's going on in their life. And they're the one that starts building bridges to their healing. It's absolutely incredible what happens. They go from, being a typical teenager to being a teenager that's transforming teenagers' lives. And I've seen it over and over and over again. I'm really proud that Hardcore is going to sponsor that for you. So if you go to joinhclnow.com, this is all available for you. And of course, tomorrow we're going to be continuing with the challenge throughout this month. And I just really want you to look deep down inside and just ask yourself, what are you creating between now and the end of the month? What are you creating between now and the end of the week? And whatever you're creating, whether it's joining us in HCL or it's doing it on your own, I just trust you. Whatever's right for you, go all in on it. But whatever you do not be conditional about your commitments. All right, you guys, I'm going to move to VIP. Have a great day.